Hi and welcome to another episode of the WiEA Pod. My name's Kirsty Franks and every week we're bringing you new faces and some familiar faces from across the industry to share their stories. None of this would be possible without our friends over at Digital Sparks, who are the sponsors of the WiEA Pod and make this all happen for us. If you haven't seen the work that they're doing across social media, go check out their Instagram page. They're doing some amazing things for people all across the sector, some great short form video. Anyway, let me get straight into it. Today, I have a very special guest with me, somebody who will definitely be a little bit of a familiar face to you. And anybody that was at the recent WiEA Not a conference, you'll have seen a little bit more behind the scenes of this person. Literally behind the scenes. Hopefully this gives you a little hint as to who I'm sat talking to. Please welcome to the WiEA Pod, Matt Baldock.
Hey Kirsty, how are you?
I am good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, thank you. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for coming. We appreciate it. We've got to start with the WiEA, yeah?
Yes.
Not a conference.
Not a conference.
So, the team had this wild idea of how do we do something different that's not a panel.
Yes.
And you got a phone call to say, will you come on the WiEA stage?
Yes.
Talk to me about that phone call.
I think I got a text message.
solid organisation.
Yeah, I think I got a WhatsApp. Basically, just asking, about my kind of, I've spoke before, to kind of Ben as more of a friend, I guess, about working with imposter syndrome, I kind of call it. And he said they were doing a thing about that and, would I like to be involved? And this year I'm trying to say yes to more things. Mm-hmm. So my head was like, no, do not do that. But my mouth said yes. And yeah, then I ended up, backstage with yourself and obviously Alex, who looked after me. But a really, really good experience.
It was surreal, wasn't it?
It was weird.
So for anyone that didn't attend, 3 of us were bundled backstage.
Yeah.
We were given no prep whatsoever.
Nice.
And we were given microphones that changed our voice.
Yes.
So the audience, in theory, didn't know it was us. Not sure we really pulled that off.
I don't think we did at all.
No. And we talked about our experiences of dealing with imposter syndrome and kind of self-doubt and all of those things. So what's the feedback been like for you?
But it was just a weird thing, wasn't it? Because when you're working with imposter syndrome and having self-doubt, you don't feel you belong on a stage. So then to be on a stage, it kind of messed with your head a little bit, didn't it? And it was interesting for me to see how we all kind of dealt with it as well, because obviously, so you sat down, and I didn't realise I was such a pacer.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, and I was just kind of like walking off.
Alex was just like,
and Alex was just like, reading her notes and stuff. She's definitely the most prepared out of the 3 of us.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, she was really well. But yeah, it was funny. It was funny afterwards, because obviously we did the big reveal and people said, but people were coming up to me afterwards and saying, I knew it was you, and so it was like, everyone likes to play the guessing game, don't they? And think that there's no prizes for that, but
I think, so the whole idea, I guess, having you on there and Alex on there and me on there was people see us as putting ourselves out there. We do a lot of social media content. We go on stages. We, have got big jobs and we appear to be very confident. But actually, I think the message that we wanted to land was everybody is struggling with this, or certainly a lot of people are struggling with this. And you said to me afterwards that you felt a little bit like you played the Joker on that stage.
Yeah.
And I wanted to delve into that. You're going to kill me for this.
Yeah. You didn't warn me about this bit at all.
No. So, is playing the Joker a bit of your kind of coping mechanism around some of that self-doubt or some of those noises in your head around I shouldn't be on this stage or that imposter syndrome piece?
Yes, is the short answer. So I am naturally just hilarious, which helps. But I think humour has just always been my defence mechanism against most things. So when I was a kid, I could generally talk my way out of stuff. So when you're a kid in the school and the bullies come up in the schoolyard and things like that, you can fight or you can make them laugh and you can kind of get away with it and get out of things. And then I just think humour's my default setting. If we have like really, and if there's any awkward conversations, awkward things, awkward silences, I'm used to that. I always make some form of joke there. So yeah, that was definitely my way, I think, of trying to protect myself. Because again, I was there, you know, albeit backstage, but with you. And in my eyes, I was like, there's Kirsty Franks, and there's like Alex Dan, and you're like, wow. And you know, maybe I don't know if I'm meant to be here. And it was like, well, people know who you are. And I thought, you want to give something to us. So you know, I want it to be genuine and truthful with what I was saying. But I think by kind of, so what I think I did is probably told a bit of a story and then ended it with a bit of humour. And I think that's just my way. And also, because we couldn't see the people there, we couldn't gauge reactions.
No.
So I think
we could hardly hear anything, could we?
No. So I think if I'd heard people laugh, then I knew, okay, it's okay, they're there, and because if you can't read people's facial expressions, you don't know how you're doing. So
it's a way of getting a reaction.
It's a way of getting a reaction,
reassurance.
Exactly that, and kind of knowing that it's kind of all okay, and you know, everything's going all right. Because again, your head tells you. So really, and I know women in the stage isn't women versus men, 100% not.
Yep.
But as a man going on the stage, that women, you know, your head's just telling you, don't get cancelled. You know, and I don't know why I would, because I don't ever say anything that silly. But I don't know. My head tells me a million things. You know, it's like when you get on a plane and it's like you say, you know, you can't have any drugs, and you think, did you pack your own bag? And you start thinking, God, I left my bag like alone for like 30 seconds. Does someone put anything in my bag? And my head does like mental things. My brain's amazing to certain ways. It just needs to be channeled in the more positive way. My brain tells me a lot of stuff that isn't true and isn't always nice.
Yeah. So I totally resonate with everything that you're saying. Hence, we were on this panel together. And I really struggle with that kind of questioning myself and self-doubt, and that, you know, the rational part of your brain is going, these thoughts are ridiculous. You're already doing this, just get on and do it and stop ruining your life by questioning everything that you're doing. But I'm interested, because you and I are business owners, how that has been for you in the journey of your career. Because for me, those noises in my head at the point of me starting my own business were very, very loud, and something that I've had to work really hard at quietening. So I just want you to kind of give me a bit of a whistle-stop tour through kind of how your career's built, and how that kind of really having to channel your focus, how that's manifested itself throughout that.
So I think agency owner now, much the same way most are. So you start from the corporate world, started as an office junior, work your way up. You get to a level where you kind of think, well, I was actually offered an opportunity to have my own business, but a lot of people think, well, you know, I did it for 10 years, and after that amount of time, you start to think, no, things could become different, should be done differently. I'd had children as well, and I think when you have kids, that makes you look at the world a bit differently. Yeah. In agency where I was, and this isn't all corporates, but certainly the corporate I was working for, it was everyone's the enemy, kill, kill, kill. So like this world where I meet all you know, and there are so many agencies that still doesn't know this world exists, and that's the sad thing. I'd have never thought there'd be anything like this. But then, yeah, you kind of go out on your own, and that doubt has always been there. So even I was very successful as a corporate agent, but I was never, it was like my face and I was never the golden child, if you see what I mean. So like the area manager had his favourites, and I always seemed to have to beat them on figures, because I wasn't going to be his pet in another way. So
is it because you weren't a yes man?
Probably. And I think I don't know. We just didn't have the same live joke banter, that kind of thing. It was funny. The first time I interviewed for him, actually as an office junior, he said to me, "You're too serious. I think you're too serious for this job." So I said, "Well, I can come back if you want." I said, "I can come back if you want with a spinning bow tie and a flower that squirts water in your face." And he kind of like, and that seemed to get me in. But again, it was the humour thing, and on my valuations even. I just think the one human element we've all got is kind of laughter. We all feel, you know, and it doesn't really matter what language you speak, you understand laughter, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, my valuations, we are still speaking the same language. So that's always been my default setting, just to get back to there. But I think over time, in my day-to-day job in terms of valuations, your confidence is built on your past experiences. And once you've had success and you know what you're doing and you know what you're good at, you get into this flow state, right? And so in a living room, I don't really have that imposter syndrome as such.
Yeah.
If I'm dealing with the type of houses I'm used to, if I go and see, because I'm a mid-market agent,
Yeah.
so if I'm invited out to some big country manor, then I do start thinking, oh, actually, I'm not this kind of person. I'm, you know, they're not my kind of people. And you do start to worry. But generally, you're kind of safe. But then when it gets onto business ownership and then meeting other business owners, that's when you start to think, well, my business maybe isn't as successful as theirs, and you know, should I be here? Funny enough, I've just been invited to something in a couple of months in Canary Wharf, and I got told it would just be 15 business owners going, and already I'm thinking, well, who are they going to be?
Yeah.
You know,
do I fit in that crowd?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think, you know, from various conversations I've had with people that have kind of gone to set up their own business, there's never a point where you feel, oh, I'm ready for this.
No.
I've got this nailed.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, for you being an estate agent, for me being in-house doing marketing, to then going and setting up and running your own business, it's a totally different kettle of fish, right?
Well, it's huge because so I was very good at valuing, and, you know, you would have had certain skill sets that you were really good at. But then all of a sudden you've got like accounts, HR,
ops process,
everything. You're juggling and you're wearing so many hats. And then until you can scale and you can employ people, you're doing it all yourself.
Emptying the bins.
Yeah. And then the problem is, I don't know, but you get so used to doing it yourself, you bring people in the team, and then sometimes it's difficult to let go because you're so used to doing it yourself. You kind of don't want to, or sometimes I even feel bad. I'm like, oh, you know, sorry, you've got to kind of do this. I apologise to the property managers every day. I'm like, sorry, you've got to do this job. And they're like, no, we like it. And I'm like,
that's why we do it.
Yeah, that's why we do it. Like, we don't want to do your job. Like, some people, they wouldn't want to do this, but...
But why do you think that anybody's experience as a business owner is any different to that? Because I'm yet to meet a business owner that hasn't gone through that similar process. So the reason I'm asking that is, when you talk about being invited to a setting where there's 15 business owners, really what we should be thinking is, these are kindred spirits. These are like-minded people. They've all done what I've done and worn every hat, and then got to the point where they think, can I afford this next team member? Can I afford to grow now?
No, you are right. And also, so you know that saying, you don't want to be the smartest person in the room? I think, so to a certain extent, you should feel an imposter going into different settings, because if you're overly confident and you're like the biggest business or the smartest person, it's not the right room for you. So, you know, growth always happens in uncomfortable spaces. You know, growth is uncomfortable. Growing pains is the cliche. And so, yeah, you do have to. And it's amazing where it can take you and meeting new people, what it can do. But there's just always something in me, and probably in most people, that kind of goes, yeah, do I kind of belong here? And you have to be careful, because you don't want to wear it as a chip on your shoulder. You want it a little bit there because you want to go out and prove yourself, but you don't want to have a big chip on your shoulder where you kind of go with the wrong attitude and you're kind of off with people and you're trying to prove yourself too much. I'm kind of lucky because I've kind of got my estate agency, and then we've got like the Baldock brothers and the business to business, this world, if you like. So I feel maybe I hedged my bets a little bit, because, you know, if I don't get invited back to a conference, well, it's fine. I can just go and sit in my estate agency and I can work there. So
I've not seen you get anywhere close to being cancelled.
No, but maybe it's easier that way. Yeah. No, I should stop mentioning that. I haven't, you know. I'm not
in this time now. We'll see how we get on in the next 30 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I haven't. I didn't ask you the rules on swearing. You see,
you can swear.
Fine. So I did that at Simon Ledbetter's conference. I said "fuck" in the first 10 seconds, and you could see the audience a little bit, or Simon in particular, was like, "Oh my god!" But that was the other thing that broke the ice. As soon as, because that was my first time on stage with a microphone, and it was terrifying.
Yeah.
But as soon as I kind of it's terrible. As soon as I swear and someone laughs, then I breathe a bit, and it's just like, it's a bit easier.
Yeah.
And you can go.
So, talking about the pressures of building the business and kind of learning on the job, what about the added pressure of doing that with family?
Oh, with my brother? Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. It's easier now than it used to be. So when we first started, so to go back, as kids we didn't like each other. We weren't friends at all.
What's the age difference between you?
I'm 3.5 years older. Nobody would believe that. I understand. Everybody thinks he's the older one, but yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for agreeing. And then, so I went away to university. We never spoke when I was there. Came back.
Really?
Yeah. Went out for some beers, surprisingly. Had a very brief fight, which he won. And I said, right, let's not do that again.
Yeah.
And then since then, we're best friends, kind of ever since. But so the early days was we used to obviously work together. We had the same group of friends. So work, socialise, family time. And it was like a pressure cooker. We were always together.
Yeah.
So once about every 3 months, we'd have a blowout. And I would probably drop out of the office and go. There's a lake in Chelmsford. I'm going to the lake, and that's where they notify me if I've dropped off, because that's my little kind of special place. But then as we've got older, and the kid, we don't go out as much, we don't socialise as much anymore. We have very different roles in the business, so we don't even, and with work from home now prevalent, we don't actually see each other as much. So we're still best friends. I trust him more than anyone in the world.
Yeah.
I think he trusts me.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it work.
Yeah.
I think family can be difficult, and also we lost our dad at a very young age. So we kind of we're the male role models in each other's lives. So I don't know, because I don't know any other difference. I'm not saying that brothers don't get on who do have dads, but maybe that's just kind of like Jill does a little bit that way, because we're all we've got.
So talk to me a bit about that, losing your dad. How old are you?
It's always fun. Sorry, it's not funny. Whenever someone says, you lost your dad, it's like you turned around and
I know.
down the park or something.
I say the same because I've lost my dad.
Yeah. I know, yeah.
And they say when you're talking to children about it, you shouldn't use that language.
No.
You should, but it's just something jarring about saying, yeah, my dad's dead.
I know, it's weird, isn't it?
I don't like the sound of it.
No. Or people always say, I'm really sorry, and I always go, no, it's not you didn't do it. And then, and again, but that's just the awkward setting, isn't it?
Oh, it's you trying to make them feel better
as
well.
I'm like, So he had a brain tumour for an ease of kind of diagnosis. I was 12 years old, so him and my mum divorced when we were young. I don't remember that bit, so I don't really remember too much of him. If you like, I have like a handful of memories. The main one, sadly, being watching him die in hospice. That's where we kind of visited him. He was in hospice, and dying there. So yeah, listen, it's tough, but everyone has different tough things. Weirdly, now at my age, I've got people now losing their parents, and I kind of think, oh, it might be worse for you, because you've had like these decades of friendship, and like boys and their dads maybe before, or with girls and their dads, the protector kind of role. And actually, in a weird way, I kind of think, was I lucky to kind of get away with it? Because I've got over it to a certain extent now.
Yeah.
I think that the only thing is when you lose someone as a small child, it probably does. You don't understand. You don't, as a 12-year-old, register and say, right, this is how it's going to impact my life.
Yeah.
Things obviously happen. You do things. You make decisions in your life, and you're just never sure what part of that is out of anger and.
Yeah. And did you have a male role model in your life growing up?
No. So my mum did remarry, but. Yeah, we don't talk about that. We don't have a relationship. Also, I have a very, very good relationship with my mum. I have to say, my mum is beautiful, lovely, my role model. I learned all my work ethic from her. But yeah, so we didn't really have, I had an uncle, but we have uncles, but we weren't over, because the uncle I'm probably closest to lives in the Lake District. So when I would see them, he's a fantastic dad, so I would kind of watch how he was with his children, but we only saw him a couple of times a year. So I think, we kind of missed out on that kind of stuff, and especially me and Neil are dads ourselves now of boys. Yeah. And no one's taught us how to do that as such. So, and again, that's another imposter. Am I a good enough
There's no
parent?
good book on this, is
Do you know what I mean? There's no, and you do, and especially with social media now, you see everyone's got their own opinions, and you shouldn't do this, and they shouldn't have that, and they shouldn't watch, don't have screen time and all that. But I just think you've got to do the best you can.
So you got 4 kids?
I've got 4 boys.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a lot of boys.
It is.
It's a lot of sport.
Yeah, it is.
So one of the things that I really wanted to talk to you about was co-parenting.
Okay, yeah.
I co-parent as well. And I am a really big advocate for positive co-parenting.
Yes.
So we've been separated 11 years. My boy's 14, and he's a brilliant dad.
Yeah.
We were not good together,
No.
but he is a brilliant dad. And I feel very lucky, and I will tell him that, and he will tell him that I'm a good mum. I mean, don't get me wrong, we have spats, but that is kept away from Freddie, and we do everything to pull together to do the best for him. And to me, that just makes sense. Now, I get it's not always that easy.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of negativity around co-parenting and divorce and separation and the impact on children and all of these things. And it's really refreshing. So obviously we ask you a few questions before you come on the pod. And for me, it was really refreshing for you to talk about how proud you are of your relationship with your ex and around co-parenting.
Well, it was funny because a week ago or so, it was I always call him my baby, but he's the third one now, not the fourth, because my baby is a baby. It was his 10-year-old, it was his 10th birthday, and it was my mum actually that said to me how proud she was of me and my ex-wife Nicola about how we co-parent. And again, when you hear it, you know, because you think you're doing an okay job, but it's just about the kids, right?
Yeah.
Like their happiness has to come. If you're a parent and you wanted to have kids, then everything needs to be for them.
Yeah, and it's not always easy.
And it's not always easy. But when, so me and their mum, you know, separated, I wasn't leaving them. It just didn't work with her. As it happens now, we're pretty much best friends, right?
Yeah.
But it just didn't work in that way. But and again, you know, the initial breakup, don't get me wrong, it's fractured, it's tender, of course it is, and it is. But we always made a pact never to argue in front of the kids, and we've never ever used the kids as messengers, because that's something that I have friends in these situations do.
Yeah, same.
And one thing, it's kind of a shame Mother's Day's just gone, because I had to have a chat with a friend of mine. Was I know a lot of men sometimes that, and I think it goes both ways. Women on Father's Day, they won't get the mother something because, you know, I'm not getting anything, F her, what, you know, she watched that. And I say, no, it's not for her, it's actually for the kid, because what you don't want is your son or your daughter panicking and going, I haven't got my mum anything for Mother's Day, or haven't. So I would say, like, you're never teaching the mum or the dad a lesson.
No.
The lesson's actually to the kid, and the lesson to the kid is two things. Number one, you're making sure they're not anxious, but number two, you're showing them what it means to be a respectful adult.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
And that. So yeah, I am incredibly lucky with Nikki. She's a fantastic mum. We get on really well. We co-parent so we have our set days and our set weekends. But if someone needs a favour, we can switch around. And I am really lucky with my partner Jasmine, because she allows, for want of a better word, me to do that without it. Because I have been in relationships before where they haven't liked that. It's
so difficult, because if you're with a new partner and there's any kind of insecurity there, that can then impact the relationship that you've got with your kid's mum or kid's dad, and that's a really tricky thing to navigate, because, you know, especially now when you've got a new baby, you're blending families.
Yeah, of course.
And that has to be built on trust, and that has to be built on understanding and friendship and flexibility and
exactly, and it is, and so, you know, Jasmine understands I have to look. My other three kids are as much of a priority as Grace and our baby, and so when I'm with them, I have to be with them. And also from Nikki's point of view, I imagine it was, even though we've been separated some time and she's in a relationship, I imagine it was weird seeing me with another baby. But she's, you know, she buys presents for birthdays, Christmas, that kind of thing. I'm lucky with who I get to co-parent with, but for me, and maybe growing up without that kind of role model or parent, I just want to, you know, those are like, I want to be the boss I never had, and so I probably want to be the dad I never had, and quite literally, rather than to the detriment that way. So for me, it's just about making sure the children are happy, and there's no point scoring or anything like that. You know, I want them to, because I need them when they grow up. Hopefully they'll settle down, marry, have kids, and live happy forever after. But they might not, right? Statistically, a lot of people get divorced.
Statistically not, yeah.
So I want them to kind of reflect back and say, well, okay, well, if this is the situation, this is how I've seen it done, rather than kind of clashing. So
it's really refreshing to hear you talking like that. And you've painted a picture that's all very plain sailing and beautiful. Yeah. Has it been? Have you struggled?
Yeah, of course. Of course, you have your own difficulties. So, you know, money. You know, the money's involved, isn't there? So, you know, for me, when we broke up, I said, listen, this is the kids' home. You stay here, and then the house can get sold whenever you're ready. unfortunately, she was ready when Liz Truss fucked the market. So I must be the only agent that sold his house, you know, for the lowest price possible. So you kind of have bits there, and there's always, you know, when so of course she should have a partner, she should be happy. But when there's another man and they're kind of in your kids' lives, that's a little bit of a difficult one. You want to know, you know, who's around. And to a certain extent, you can't dictate it because I'm not there. And it was my choice not to be there. So I can't have my cake and eat it.
Yeah.
You know, but again, maybe because the days our kids are the way we are and our partners are, Jasmine's not trying to be their mum and Nicola's partner's not trying to be their dad.
Yeah.
So I have been lucky with it. So there's always confidence, but I'm not going to sit here and kind of say, oh no, it's been catastrophic, and we've been lucky with it. I think we really, really had to work hard at it. You know, I had my own demons. Certainly, she would have certainly had her own demons. I don't know which. You know, I've definitely been to speak to people about it. You know, that kind of stuff. And you do have that guilt. And again, it's not that I'm not really happy where I am now with my life and my relationships. But it was is that bit of you that kind of thinks, oh, you know.
Well, nobody gets married and have kids to think this isn't going to be happily ever after, do they?
No, exactly. And also because my mum and dad divorced, and then my dad died, we divorced obviously, and then I'm a bit of a hypochondriac also. So then I was like, every time I get a headache, I'm like, this is me now. Am I going to kind of die? And even then you kind of start worrying about that.
Shit.
But yeah, but I'm a weird hypochondriac. So I'm always worried I'm going to die, but I'll never go to the doctors in case they tell me I'm going to die.
I got nothing, Matt.
Yeah. So like I just kind of go through it all. I'm sure I've had a few heart
And then
attacks in the
after
past.
a few weeks,
but
you're like, oh, I seem fine.
yeah,
so.
I haven't died yet, you know.
yeah,
Yeah,
must have just been a migraine.
yeah. I think I've been having a heart attack since I was 18, but
Just have a Gaviscon and
I
it'll
wake up in the
be-
morning with like, you know, pins and needles in your arm, and yeah.
But in all seriousness, though, like, so I know you've been involved in the boys' club and in conversations around men's mental health. And do you think that as a man and some of these struggles and some of the things that we've talked about today, you're just supposed to just get on with it?
Yeah, I think so. Well, sorry, I don't think you are, no, but I think society thinks
thinks
yeah, I want
you
to
are,
clarify that, yeah. Mental health doesn't exist. No, yeah. I think, yes, you are. Simon Sinek uses a really nice phrase. He calls it mental fitness rather than mental. And I believe that because I think it's a muscle that needs to be, your brain's a muscle that needs to be worked on, right? And how you talk to yourself, what you say. A chap started work for me and I heard him tell somebody, I am ADHD. And I said, no, you're not. I said, you work with it. I said, I don't want that to define
Label
you.
yourself.
Yeah, we'll work with it. What you need will work, but don't label yourself in that kind of way. So I think language certainly helps. But I do still think the phrase is pull your big boy pants up, you know, and it's kind of there. And again, it's probably maybe a generational thing because I certainly think the generation above me have no concept of it whatsoever. And my generation, some do, some don't. But drink water, move forward is kind of, I think, how a lot of us feel we have to be about it. And I think some men, I think you can talk about it, but I also do think we live in a cynical world where we think if people are talking about it, they're doing it for clicks. And sadly, there are some people that do talk about things and do it for clicks. And it's trying to work out who's kind of genuine and who's not. But again, and the boys' club's a perfect example. And there was a chap that came to the WiEA event who he'd never been before. He didn't even know about the boys' club, and he was like saying there should be like something like this for kind of men, you know. And it kind of brought to his mind that you could talk about mental health, which was great. So I do still think there's a stigma around it.
How do you keep your mind fit then?
Oh, a variety of medications and no, I don't know. I'm joking.
Follow whiskey.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So there's an author called Mo Gawdat is his name, and he, if you listen to podcasts with him, he taught me this. I've got my brain's called George, so when my brain's telling me negative thoughts, I'll say, George, that's not true, and we'll And so if you name it and you talk to it, because you're
Where did you learn this?
So it was on a podcast. Yeah. I can't remember the name of the book now, annoyingly. he was a chief kind of engineer at Google. He's big on AI, but he basically put happiness into a mathematical calculation. So happiness is when events are equal to or greater than your expectations, is my kind of version of it. But yeah, I listened to him say it. So, and I thought, fine, I don't know what, and I don't know where George came from. But
Curious George.
yeah, Curious George, yeah, maybe. And I will sometimes, because if you speak, because your internal thoughts are the most dangerous.
Yeah.
Okay. So we always say talk about your problems, right? Because actually, when you speak something into existence, it can get dealt with. So when you've got your mind telling you, oh, Matt, you shouldn't go there, don't do that, you know, what are you going to wear today, you know, that kind of thing. Every now and again, you just go, George, shut up. Oh, I'm not doing this today. You look mental for a start, just walking down the road saying, George, shut up. But internally, you're kind of bringing it out into the open and you're dealing with it. So that's a trick that I've found over the last couple of years.
I love that. And I think the other thing as well is that I think sometimes if I spoke to my friends the way that I speak to myself a lot of the time, I'd have no fucking mates left.
No, exactly, yeah.
Which is mad, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the, so because we're always taught treat others like you'd like to be treated yourself, but it's the other way, is to treat yourself like you would treat others. Yeah, the reverse golden rule.
Yeah.
And that is a
That's
thing,
a really great tip, really great tip.
Yeah.
So you've supported WiEA for quite some time.
I was one of the OGs. I've been there to every one.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was only 10 of us in the first in the first one. There was a lot this time.
It's gone a bit wild, right?
Yeah.
And one of the interesting things that you talk about is that obviously, you know, the community has grown. We've got 5,000 women in the Facebook group now, 4 sellout events, podcast training, all of these things, and some loud voices around championing for that. And I think your point around you're frustrated that there's not more agents that are advocating or getting involved in this and understanding why this movement and these conversations are so important.
Yeah.
How do we change that?
I think WiEA probably does it better, to be fair. So I think if you looked at that, if you looked at the audience in WiEA, I would imagine there are more actual agents there than just normal suppliers, which I thought. So the great thing about WiEA is there's faces there that I've never seen anywhere else, you know, and they obviously, they either feel empowered, they want to support, or they feel safe to come. I don't know. Because you all know something to me. You go to most conferences and it's the same ones. We're the good ones, right? The same faces are kind of are always there. And it is quite supply heavy, a lot of it. So I just think it's a case of explaining to agents that it's our profession. So the way the word industry is talked about a lot, but again, back to language, somebody that comes to the dinner I watched, somebody said we should call it the profession. So it can be, you can be in the industry, Catini, for instance, I know Kieran from Catini, they can be in the industry, but agents is our profession.
Yeah.
And I find that a lot of the biggest voices that speak about agency aren't actually agents, you know. And don't get me wrong, they're doing it for good reasons, but you've got some of the biggest voices out there aren't actually estate agents. And I just would really like estate agents to understand, without you, none of the ecosystem exists anyway. And stop looking for someone to save you. Stop kind of looking for people that aren't estate agents or were and couldn't do it anymore without being disrespectful to them. Or Simon Gates is a classic example, a really influential guy in agency. They'll tell you I called him the failed estate agent because, you know, he did it for 10 years and he's not anymore. And he's a very good mate of mine, and what he does, he's really trying to help agents.
Yeah, he is.
But a lot of agents are looking to him for all the answers, and it's like, no, you've got them here in your office. So I just want them to find their voice. And with social media, and I know obviously I shouldn't talk to you about social media, you're the queen, but you've got a bigger voice than you've ever had.
Yeah.
So we've all got camera phones.
You've got to use it responsibly though.
Yeah, but you can, just like shooting. There's been a bit of that recently, but
let's not go there.
You don't go down that route. Fine. All self-employed models should get on. But you've got voices, and just to use them, and just to realise that you're the ones doing the work day in, day out. So you've got more experience than you realise. You've got more actually to say than you realise. And
this is really interesting. So obviously you are a massive advocate for collaboration within a state agency and within estate agents.
Yeah.
And I guess this is a big driver of why you're doing that and why
Yeah.
that's important for you.
Yeah.
Changing the profession rather than the industry.
And that is it, because I genuinely believe agency is a vocation. You don't do it for this long. There aren't that many multi-millionaire estate agents, right? In the normal day-to-day of it, you don't generally do the job for the money. You do it because there's something in you and you love it. And we all want to improve, and it's great that there's all these people out there trying to help us improve. But I just wish agents themselves would get together, talk to each other, learn from each other. Yeah, learn from each other. But also, maybe it's the imposter syndrome thing. Just understand how good and how valuable their thoughts are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. I could talk all day and we're already running
out of time.
Running out of time. I have to say, Matt, I think, firstly, it was really brave of you to come and do the WiEA event, not a conference.
Not a conference.
And I think it's absolutely commendable of you to put yourself in a situation which I saw front row firsthand how uncomfortable you were.
Yeah, it was horrible.
In that situation. But you did it because you knew that what you had to say could potentially help even just one person. And the same today. And I think, agents get a bad rep, right?
Yeah. There's a couple of good ones. Some of us are okay.
Yeah, and it's been really refreshing for me to talk to you and see the man behind the brand and the humility behind the humour. And I think, more people should take heed. It's commendable.
Thank you.
So thank you.
I appreciate it.
The last question that we always ask is, who else would you like to see on this chair coming and talking on the WiEA pod? And as you know, we want people to come and talk about their stories, their lives.
So there's a lady called Mandy Baker. I don't know if she's been on.
I think we've had Mandy.
We've had Mandy. Okay, so if we haven't had Mandy, there's a chap called David Mintz, who David is incredibly underrated as an estate agent. A lot of people don't understand the great work he does in agency, and also just the kind human being he is. And also, there's a lady that came to my dinner the very last night called Jan, who I'm going to put you in touch with, because she has got an amazing story where, and I only found this out last night, basically separated from her husband who owned a business together. She didn't have the business, went to work for a letting agency. The letting agency said, "Oh, we're packing up." She said, "Well, I'll buy it off you." Bought a management book of 7 properties, which is nothing, and has run the agency for 20 years and runs it with her daughter. So, and I know you're not women exclusive, but
that'd be great,
a really nice mother and daughter running a business together. So I'm going to put you in touch with her.
Beautiful, amazing. Mr. Baldock, thank you so much for your time today and coming on the WiEA pod. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.